Are you ready for some instant grace? It's like instant baby formula that's actually good for you, except when it's thrown all over your shirt. That's what happened between Nina Turner and the New Hampshire Libertarian Party. Here's Jim.
Glad to be with you for this special Grace Archie short. I don't know what we're going to call these, but there are issues that come up from time to time. I don't. We can't do a whole show on them, but we still have commentary to offer that is gracious in the midst of a current situation. A lot of them have to do with the conflict machine, and this case is no different. Nina Turner, who is a aspiring progressive politician, she wanted to be the congresswoman from my district. As a matter of fact, as very recently, she didn't succeed in that, but she did try. Um, Former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner put up a post on Twitter that said insulin should be free, medicine should be free. And the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, whose messaging has been questioned from time to time, came back with the following response: Nina Turner picking crops should be free. Now, they set up a second tweet to explain what they meant. They said insulin should be free is equally offensive as calling someone to be compelled to pick crops. I don't know if I would go quite so far as to say equally, but it is offensive, and it is a form of what you might call fractional slavery. And even if that's technically true, the first part of the message lands wrong. It's offensive. Fractional slavery, which means some portion of your income, maybe a very tiny portion of your income, went to pay for someone else's insulin, is not the same thing. I'm sorry, it's not the same thing as being a slave in the antebellum South, as chattel slavery. And this is a painful history that has continued to have a legacy and effects up into the present time. And I think this is bad messaging. Just simple. It's adding to the conflict. It's increasing the division. It's designed to score points as opposed to persuade. So let me make my case real quick. It's not. It's technically accurate to say that if Ms. Turner is suggesting these things are free, there is no such thing as a free lunch. TANSTAFL, that was the acronym that Robert Heinlein used to use. There is no such thing as a free lunch. And because there isn't one, that means somebody is paying for whatever it is that Nina Turner wants to make free. And I'm sure that these two things aren't the only things on her list that she wants to make free. Someone has to pay for it. And the way that's done is taxes are collected. And that means people who had money that they wanted to spend on other things that mattered to them could not spend that money, had to instead give that over to the government, or worse, the government borrowed against future generations. And in those two methods of theft, they then are able to pay for these other programs and almost be like Robin Hood good. So she gets to claim credit for, okay, we've provided this service, we've made sure that people had insulin, but it got in the way of other people's being able to pursue their happiness. This didn't happen in a way that, let's say, you would have given somebody insulin, or you would have contributed to an insulin fund where people would have come together and had harmony as a result of that. So you see, anytime we use theft, it violates the principle of human respect, which says when we do that, happiness, harmony, and prosperity are going to go down. The prosperity goes down because the money's less. The happiness goes down because I might have done something else with the money. And the harmony goes down because politics is war by other means. And Nina Turner's clearly playing into that. But the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, in putting out this messaging, then it is also making a mistake because they're focused, and this is happening a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that in this day and age, because we can measure stuff that's happening on the internet, traffic and numbers and comments and everything else, they're into the analytics. And they think that if they have really good, strong analytics, that they've conveyed their message. People that work with me know that I'm down on analytics. I think they're way overused, they're abused, and I don't put a lot of stock in them. I put much more stock in relationship. And here's what I mean. This is like a really good case study to look at that, because the grace result doesn't come out. If I use this argument, it's one of these things where the people who agree will high five me. They understand what I'm saying. Like, they know the self-ownership principle and whatnot. But the people who don't understand will only take offense. So I don't persuade or change any minds. I don't win people over. It's not a winsome or gracious approach. If I were focused instead of analytics on relationship, which is what usually should be focused on, and I'm not today worried about trying to score all the points I can today by the number of views I get or the number of reactions I get or the fact that so-and-so ends up quoting my tweet. If I'm more focused on how am I graciously building an audience that understands my position, how am I reaching across lines in a way that they can understand where we're coming from, then I would not send out a message like this. In fact, there was a way to word this very same idea and make it less offensive in this particular case, and that would be to use this fractional approach and say what percentage of your income, should be taken to put in this thing, and why wouldn't that be considered at least some form of slavery? Do you owe someone else? Because I guarantee that's not in Nina's calculation. Well, the government's just going to pay for it, right? So this is not leading to understanding of our positions. And I want to make a suggestion here. If we really want to change things, if we really want to stop these actions from happening, instead of just scoring cheap points that tend to divide us, then what we would do is we would always look for the empathy situation. How is it that I can get people to understand the pain that they're causing? And for me, one of the tools I use is this principle of human respect. Happiness, harmony, and prosperity will always decline anytime someone uses theft or violence to get their way. This has been Jim Babka. Thanks for joining me for this special Grace Archie short.